Hello friends, today we're going to focus on some of the behavioral remedies which basically planet Saturn demands. Now, what do we mean by behavioral remedies? It's a very tricky question. When we look for remedies, typically people come and say, okay, should I donate urad dal or sarso or some other black thing or coal or maybe metal or iron on a Saturday or maybe go to a Shani temple and all. But Saturn actually is doing something to your behavior. It is bringing some properties in your behavior where it is exhibiting some properties, some traits that if you were to change, then uh, its effect may actually lessen. But then, a grey, when it comes to you, it has come to you to ask something from you. It wants some changes, but then it wants you to address certain things which that planet want you to take care of. And once you do that, then you're good. So I was actually looking at some of the posts and some of the Facebook groups, and suddenly there was query that was flying around that okay, Saturn in fifth house, you should not celebrate your child's birthday or celebrate any achievement of a child on a in a very pompous kind of a way, or bring a DJ to the house to celebrate anything for your kids. So why is that a remedy? Why Lal Kitab says something like that? Now, so what I decided and what I thought was that yes, many times I have seen charts where basically some behaviors, if they were to be addressed or changed, Saturn's effect on you as a person may change, or you may be able to basically control some negativities which Saturn may bring in case if you were to do karmas or things opposite to what Saturn wants you to do. So let's go through some of them. Let's understand what Saturn really wants and what really it means first. So let's look at some of the properties and karakatwas of Saturn. Now, one of the things that Saturn really does well, its core property is to actually form the base or the core of the society. So do stuff which forms the base or the core and nobody else is willing to do. It wants hard labor. It wants you to basically do stuff which nobody else wants to do. Work on the sidelines. It forms a marginalized part of society, and it loves darkness. So when sun, it's exact opposite, who loves light, who loves tap, which power and all. I mean, Saturn is the exact opposite. It wants to stay away from limelight as much as possible, and because of its property of basically bringing darkness everywhere, it tries to suck out life force, reduces living energy, wherever it basically, in whichever house it basically goes, until it's in a sign of Mars, where Mars actually tries to give it a lot of energy and makes you very active about your profession. Other properties about Saturn, I mean, old, serious, joyless, beautiful, low profile. Low profile means you want to work without wanting its reward. I mean, whatever you get as a return, you should be happy with it. You should be happy with scarcity. You should be happy with whatever less you get out of it. You should be happy with working long hours. Okay. And Saturn is the planet of service. I mean, Saturn wants you to serve. Wherever it is sitting, it wants you to serve. It wants you to be humble. It wants you to basically not be in the limelight. It wants you to be the core or the backbone of whatever activity that you're doing or is expected in that house. And some other karakatas of Saturn are also, stealing and lying. I mean, when it is dark, you cannot see. I mean, if somebody steals something away from you, you would not come to know. So these are some of the other karakatas of Saturn. So let's come to uh, some of the behaviors which Saturn actually expects from you and why these work as remedies. So what I've typically seen when people change their behavior, and it's not very easy. When Saturn's effect is there on your mind, when it is a Sade Sati, or whether it's a Saturn Dasha Antara that's going on, or of any planet sitting in Capricorn, it's not that easy these remedies for Saturn, because it has a very 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 heavy influence on your mind. But still, if you have some good planets sitting over there, a planet like Mars, which can give you the energy to get out of the coldness which Saturn is giving you, you may still have the energy to bring about these changes that you will be looking forward to. But if you have a planet like Moon or Venus sitting over there, Saturn may have an overwhelming effect on it. But anyways, I'll not get into that right now. So what does Saturn really want? What does Saturn really want you to do in terms of picking up behaviors which it would like? So one of the first things that Saturn likes is don't show off, don't celebrate, don't be pompous. I mean, Saturn just wants to work and stand on the sidelines. It wants you to do some core seva service, service to humanity, service to people, service to whatever portfolio it has been granted in terms of its placement in your chart. It wants you to sweat hard, to keep life force moving. If you are going to be lazy, Saturn is going to suck out all life out of you. You're going to feel very depressed, very bored. You'll feel sluggish. You'll feel nothing is moving in your life. And Saturn, because it is antagonistic to Sun. It does not like authority. I mean, hates may be a very strong word, but then Saturn doesn't like authority, and Saturn doesn't like authoritative figures. It likes to serve, but with a low profile. Saturn typically moves around with people who have kind of been marginalized, or kind of who are forming the core or the base of the society. So, having learned these properties, some of the properties about Saturn, let's now move on to what kind of behavior typically you should expect Saturn wants you to have when it's sitting in certain houses. So let's look at Saturn in first house. Uh, Saturn in first house typically has a behavior which is very similar to Saturn in Aries, which is impetuous decision making, especially in profession. Saturn in Aries is very restless with respect to decisions in which are needed at workplace, at office, and doesn't like slowness there. But Saturn wants you to actually go slow and decide slowly. So Saturn in the Lagna also shows some similar properties. I mean, don't be very restless in your profession. Many times you may actually feel that Saturn in the Lagna. I mean, you may have a slow, swarthy kind of a personality. But on the contrary, what I've seen many a times, Saturn in the Lagna gives you very quick decision making as well in your workplace. But then what Saturn wants when it has given you some of these properties is uh, even when you are leading, or when you are basically deciding for others, uh, keep a personality, because first house is your personality. First house is how people look up to you, what kind of an image you are basically putting up. I'm not going to get into Arutha Lagna, Upad Lagna and all over here right now. We'll keep that for some other day. Keep the personality of a man in service, who's basically, if you have Saturn in the first house, and focus on serving others. Do not focus on yourself in the sense, how good am I looking? Am I really benefiting? Am I looking pleasing in front of people? No, Saturn wants you to look like a person who's serious, who's here to basically humbly serve others. Keep zero self-obsession, stay humble, and kind of reduce your restlessness at professional workplace. Saturn in the Lagna, Saturn in the sign of Aries, you will typically see people may change a little more frequently. They may stay at a place for a few years, but then change. They'll feel very restless at that place. If they can control it, then the Saturn, uh, which is what Saturn wants you to do, be more patient. Then it's a good thing to be able to imbibe. Although I'm not very sure how many of you will be able to do that. Now, first house is basically, a karak of many other things. So, first house is your siblings' gains, because it is 11th from the third. It's your father's fame, because it's 5th from the ninth. It's your mother's profession, because it's 10th from the fourth. It's your kids' school teachers, which is ninth from the fifth. So you can actually extrapolate to whatever portfolio you want to be, and apply these properties to those things as well. So when Saturn is in the Lagna, keep a low profile about all these portfolios as well. So I'm not going to get into all Karkatwas or portfolios, but then you get the idea how the Saturn is going to work and how it needs you to basically keep a low profile with respect to whatever Karkatva it stands for. So let's get to Saturn in the second house. Okay, Saturn in the second house, typically I've seen people do get rich, but then by lying or cheating in some cases. It typically gives the results of a Saturn Venus combination, and Saturn Venus combination is typically good for wealth. If you look at the charts of, say, Bill Gates and many other people, you'll find that yes, you are going to make money, but then keep a low profile. Keep Second house is also your family lineage. It's basically the family you come from, it's the name of the family, it's the pride of the family. But then whatever pride you have, keep it under guards. Sun in the second house, you're going to be very strong, very powerful, very respectful, and very, you can say, authoritative regarding your family authority. I mean, either you may be the authority, or you may express this authority in public, in your speech, or in your interactions. But when Saturn is in the second house, keep it low profile, keep your family pride under the guards. Also, Saturn Venus combination, keep your assets, you can say, under the guards as well. Don't reveal what you have, what you eat. If possible, don't eat in public, eat alone. Even if you're eating in family, I mean, just keep a low profile. uh, Try to speak slowly, because Saturn doesn't like haste, and do not speak impetuously. Very important, do not malign your family members. So this is where Saturn Venus combination, or Saturn in second house, and Saturn also in the seventh house, where it basically refers to your spouse. I mean, the moment you malign your family members, which is second house, or your spouse, which is the seventh house, Saturn Venus tends to basically give problems. If you look at the charts of a lot of multimillionaires who have had divorces and who have had to part away with their wealth because of divorce or because of splits in the family, second house, you will see Saturn in the second house activating in a very negative way when you basically malign others. So Saturn is the karak for giving heen bhavna, or throwing mud. Saturn stands for mud. Saturn stands for all the sludge that you can think of. But when you literally start throwing mud, that is when Saturn is going bad. It's going to steal things away from you. It's going to break things. So Saturn second house. I mean, if you love drinking liquor, if you love eating heavy stuff, oily stuff, which is what Saturn stands for. I mean, keep it to yourself. I mean, don't party around saying, "Oh, I love all this non-veg and all this drinking and all that other thing." I mean, party around whatever you eat, but keep it to yourself. Keep a low profile. Best if you eat alone or in silence. Let's move to Saturn in third house. Okay, third house is your siblings. It's your parakram, which is parakram basically means your bravery in one way. And uh, Saturn in third house wants you to go slow. I mean, uh, firstly, third house is the house of taking initiatives. So don't be lazy. I mean, if you want to take a lot of initiatives, be a little silent, be low profile about it. Don't tell the whole world broadcasting. I mean, don't put on Facebook that okay, I'm going to start something, blah blah blah, from tomorrow. Keep it low profile. Okay, so why this concept of having a low profile? The question is, Sun is the light and Saturn is darkness. So wherever Sun goes, you may want to throw light. You may want to say, okay, this is what I've done in life. So if Sun is in the 10th house, you would love talking, not bragging, but being very proud about your office, your workplace, your father's family. Or Sun is in the second house, you're very proud about your lineage. But Saturn wants the exact opposite of that. Saturn actually, it's not saying don't be proud about your family, lineage, office, whatever. But Saturn is wanting you to keep a low profile, be humble, don't brag, don't try to basically sound snobbish or arrogant, because Saturn does not like Sun's behavior. They are mutual enemies. So in a third house with the third house Saturn, hide your parakram, in the sense most of the times when you go actually to fight somebody, it's your voice, it's your third house, it's your arms, it's your fists which come out and say, okay, I'm gonna fight. Saturn says slow down. You may be brave, you may be third house Saturn is something found in the charts of many archers, people who can do very well with bow and arrow. So don't just pick up your arms suddenly. I mean, just keep a low profile. Okay. When third house is also your social meetings with your friends, if you are going out to eat, and if you are just meeting somebody in an official workplace or somewhere, and you have your friends or your official contacts or people who you communicate with on day-to-day basis, then don't be lazy. Serve them. Don't be arrogant in front of them, and just keep a attitude of serving them. Third house also and seventh house typically they also stand for a lot of social media posts. I mean, do not taunt, do not throw mud literally, or try to tarnish the image of people on social media posts. This is true for both third as well as seventh house. And if Saturn in the 11th house, do not throw mud on people who are sitting in large organizations, or who are heading it, or people who can actually have your desires fulfilled. That by itself logically should have struck you. Okay. Third house is also your friends. I mean, don't brag in front of them. And third house is also your skills. It's how you communicate a message, not necessarily speak, but communicate a message, how you write it, how you basically use your pen and paper and ink to basically write something. Be humble in your skills, be humble in your writing. Tone it down. Be slow, reasonable, if possible maybe serious in whatever you write, communicate, and what you tell about your skills, and what you tell about what you're good at. Okay. Saturn in the fourth house. The fourth house is the Sukh Sthan, and it denotes many things. It's your house, it's your vehicles, it's your land, properties. It's also any food items, or people who have big warehouses, granaries, who have in their house anything that you store in the house. So be humble about your Sukh, in the sense whatever gives you peace, you need to be humble about that. The moment you start bragging, I mean, your peace of mind is going to go away. Saturn is going to punish you very hard. If you are in the house, be humble to the mother, and at home, if possible, serve her. You may serve food to people at home. You may actually serve with your physical hard work. Keep the house clean. Keep the floor of the house clean. These are some other things which you can do to keep your Saturn in the fourth house happy. Work around the house. Don't be lazy. Keep the dust off. So Saturn in the fourth house could basically make you a little lazy when it comes to things at home. So what it wants you to do is be so in a nutshell, just keep your house clean, keep the dust off. Also, fourth house is your local population of people. I mean, if you want to see somebody who's very powerful locally, a local MLA, minister with Hayek, whatever you want to call. I mean, these are people who normally have a very strong fourth house and moon. So basically, people who can connect with other people emotionally and can, nourish them. So Saturn in the fourth house, you may have a tendency to malign people at your home or malign people locally or your own local population. Don't do that. Serve them. Be low profile and don't throw mud around at people. Okay. Uh, Another thing which I've seen with Saturn in the fourth house, they tend to bring work home, and they can be lazy about it, and that can also attract a little bit of depression. So try to keep yourself active. Okay, Saturn in the fifth house. So this is where one of the Lal Kitab Sutras actually come, that if you have Saturn in the fifth house, don't celebrate your child's birthday. Now why? See, Sun is the light, and if you see a lot of photographers have Sun in the 12th house or Sun prominently placed in the nakshatras of Ketu, other such combinations, or Sun with Venus, where basically they are sculpting and creating. You're putting light on something which is beautiful looking. So, which is where the Lal Kitab Sutra comes, that okay, Saturn in the fifth house, do not basically celebrate your child's birthday or your child's events or child's accomplishments. Fifth house is the child. Now, what Lal Kitab is trying to say is basically that Saturn is saying, be humble. Wherever Saturn is sitting, just be humble. Don't show off. Don't get too much of sun or light in that house where Saturn is sitting. We are not talking about Sun Saturn combination right now. We'll do it some other day. Okay, so fifth house is also authority, the government. And Saturn in the fifth house or Saturn in Leo typically is a person who tends to fight the authority or loves basically, working for the authority but bringing all the problems to them. So labor leaders and kind of people who are antagonistic to authority. Saturn fifth house, try to be a little humble to authority. Do not malign it. Also in romance, serve, stay humble, do not brag about it, don't post pictures of it on social media, don't bring too much of sun in your fifth house. So if you're going to do that, things are going to go bad. The Saturn is going to basically create a big backlash. If you're in love, you're in romance, great, keep it yourself, keep it low profile. Also for kids, the same I wouldn't say remedies, but the same solutions apply. If you yourself are an authority, don't show off your own authority, because that ways uh, somehow this Saturn also doesn't feels upset by it. Serve people by giving them power, but don't fight power itself. It'll be difficult because Saturn in Leo, Saturn fifth house tends to do that, but try not to do it. Also, fifth house typically your fame. I mean, don't get carried away by fame. Um, a few examples that I have, again, I'm quoting Bill Gates again, Saturn Venus in the fifth house. Somebody who had all the fame but never bragged about it, never got carried away by it. I mean, kept a very humble dress, kept to his work, and this Saturn will reward you well. So now you can see exactly how with some example charts how it's working. Okay, next Saturn the sixth house. So sixth house is the house of Rogue, Rin, and Shatru. Now, Rogue is your diseases, Rin is your debts, and Shatru is your enemies. Okay, so sixth house, Saturn says, okay, don't fight your enemies out in the open. Fight them in darkness. Don't show off. Keep it dark. Let them come to you. Slow it down. Try to suck out all the energy that they have. Let them come to you. But then Saturn doesn't say that, okay, doesn't say that don't fight. Saturn is saying, my style of fighting is a little different. Same properties apply for Rogue, and same apply for Rina as well. So Rogue is basically your diseases. If you have a disease, don't post pictures of you sitting in a hospital or you going basically buying a certain medication and start putting it on Facebook and saying, hey, look, this is what I did, and this is how I got cured. Great. If you know this, just post it in third person if you want to help other people by socially posting it online, but not with your face and the doctor's face on it or you drinking the medicine. Uh, Saturn in the sixth house typically goes a little slow with your hard work or with your stamina, because Saturn actually stands for slowness. Um, Not exactly laziness, but slowness, going at a slow, thorough speed. So if you actually have a work life where you spend long hours at work, don't show off about it, because sixth house is your daily work routine, daily work life. You work 18 hours a day, great. I mean, don't show off and tell the whole world. Now, if you go to a few more other portfolios, Okay, I mean Rogue and Shatru. Let me try to cover these three things first. And now Shatru is your enemies. When you're trying to fight your enemies, don't brag of power. Don't brag about your stamina. Don't brag about how long you can fight. Just keep silent. Keep it in the dark, and your enemies will get confused. They'll get frustrated with the slowness that you have. Um, they will not be able to second guess you. They will not be able to basically win against you because you are keeping your strategies, everything in the dark. Mars is the exact opposite because it comes with a sword in its hand and says, okay, here I am. I want to fight you out here in the open. Saturn is the exact opposite. It says, okay, uh, saying that, okay, I'll not let you know anything that I'm doing. Also, as far as Rina is considered, as far as loans are considered, typically Saturn 6th house tends to pick loans with the longest lifetime or tenure and doesn't tend to return these loans very quickly, which means suffering in silence. As you can see, there is a small joke that I put there. Quick repayments can actually backfire. So Saturn says, okay, if you want to take a lesser loan amount, make sure that the tenure is a little long, and Saturn there will not bother you. 12th house is also your wife's expenses. I'm just talking about some other karkatwas. And if your wife is spending a lot of money, God bless you. Don't criticize her. Don't put it on social media, and just bear with it. Okay. Saturn in the sixth typically gives you a wife which is very shrewd, or not shrewd. Somebody who's very who does money management very well, because 12th house is the house of expenses, and 12th house, 6th house is the expenses which wife would incur. So sixth house Shani or sixth house Saturn typically gives a wife who's going to be spending less or spending the same amount over a longer period of time. But then whatever she's spending, I mean, don't criticize her. I mean, don't criticize. Okay, going to Saturn in the seventh house. Now Saturn seventh house is also called like Jayasthan. It's a very confusing term, Jayasthan, because Jay Vijay. Many people actually give multiple connotations to it. We'll talk about it again some other day. Now, seventh house is your open platform where you broadcast your image, where other people come to meet you on a public platform, and where you can declare your victory, which is the Jayasthan, where you basically come and say openly in the public that, okay, this is the marriage partner that I have, or you come and say openly in the public that, okay, this is my business partner, this is who I'm working with, and I'm going to basically beat my clients with this person. Seventh house is anybody who's wanting to deal with you, where you have a choice that this is the deal I want to make. Now, in your business dealings, typically a very seventh house thing, whenever you're trying to meet up, whenever you're trying to basically have deals going on, don't show off to your clients. Be humble, be calm. Things may go a little slow, which is okay. Don't make your partners or don't make your business partners, your marriage partner feel inferior. Not a good thing. But at the same time, don't brag about it. Keep a humble image on the public platform, and whoever your partners are, your marriage partner, keep a low profile. I mean, don't go around broadcasting on social media platforms. This is my great love of my life, and this is my marriage partner. It may work in some cases. Many times, what I've seen, um, it brings some kind of a coldness in the relationships between the husband and the wife, and whenever you try to basically bring the relationship out in the open, Saturn tries to bring, that evil eye, even in marriage relationships, whenever Saturn is in the seventh house. So both for Saturn in the fifth house, Saturn seventh house, wherever Saturn is sitting, it tries to bring that evil eye. Okay, keep a humble image on the public platform. Don't malign people on a public platform. Don't think that I'm standing on a platform, I'm great and you're nothing. Okay, and at social events, because seventh house is also marriage events, social events, your own marriage. I'm not saying serve at your own marriage. I'm just saying that other social events, serve others, stay below profile. You get the point. Anyways, Saturn eighth house. So eighth house Saturn tends to bring large inheritances slowly. So Saturn Scorpio, also I've seen the person inherits the profession or inherits money slowly but surely and in big amounts. Uh, so if you get a large inheritance, just keep silent and don't brag in front of your in-laws. Uh, Saturn 8th house also tends to bring professional transformations, which can be a little painful because the profession keeps changing, or professional circumstances, or the office space keeps changing, or the nature of work keeps changing. If that is creating a problem, don't create too much of a hue and cry about it. Don't complain. Don't basically go around posting on social media that, hey, blah blah blah. This is what I did not like about my work, and this company is blah blah blah. Don't do that. Just keep it secret. Eighth house is the house of secrets. It's out the house of it's a Randra Bhav. Things just go out of it. It's not in your control, and it's somewhere where you do something in a very 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 private setting. Okay. Eighth house is also emergency situations. If so, people who are basically handling trauma patients, who are handling any kind of emergency, in the sense, say there is a, say something like a riot police, or say if you're looking at a person who's driving an ambulance. I mean, they may have fourth, eighth, or sixth, eighth kind of a combination they charge. If you're doing that, don't brag about it. Just serve in a low profile way. Also, eighth house is your insurance details, your mutual fund, chit fund investments. If you have Saturn in the eighth, they're going to give you profits gradually, slowly, but keep your details to yourself, and do not go around with a loud mouth in your neighborhood and keep telling everybody what you have been doing with these instruments. Okay, moving on to Saturn in ninth house. So ninth house stands for your guru, father. If you have a guru, or you are going to a university which is a very top class university, just keep silent. You don't want that evil eye coming and screwing up your university degree. Okay, I'm just trying to scare you, but I'm just showing you the potential portfolio of things which could happen. Don't ever malign the guru or the gurus or the father. If you can serve them, great thing to do. I mean, ninth house Saturn remedy, so Saturn is the bones, and ninth house is the father of the guru. So if you can just do and massage the legs of your father, that's a great remedy for Saturn in ninth house. Serve them. Do kshudra. Kshudra means basically, was Shani or Saturn belongs to the kshudra caste of people. So kshudra means menial work, which is very repetitive, not highly intellectual, but then somebody needs to do it. That's also portfolio activity somebody in society has to do. Ninth house is your brother and sister-in-law. If you are married, please don't brag about whatever you've done in front of them. And actually, if you show off to your boss or your gurus, I mean, it can backfire big time. I mean, whoever your boss is, serve them, don't brag to them, don't be overconfident, and don't malign them, or else your profession is going to have some kind of a problem, because Saturn is sitting in the 12th from its natural position, which is the 10th house, which can bring sudden exits or changes in your job life. Stay humble uh, in front of your bosses, gurus, and religious precepts. Okay, Saturn 10th house. Typically, Saturn 10th house means long, dragged working hours. And if you're working for so long, great. But if you're going to basically brag about it on the social media, Saturn isn't going to like that. Work itself will happen very slowly at office, and so what does Saturn here want from you? It says, okay, work long hours, great. Keep a low profile while you're working, great. But don't get impatient or criticize the office culture. If you start doing that, the Saturn is going to get offended, and this Saturn here then can slow down things for you significantly. Keep a low profile, serve, and die, as I've written in the 50 side itself. Other portfolios basically we show 10th house being the second to the ninth. Don't show off or criticize your father's finances, family. Whatever they are. Just keep it to yourself. Okay, Saturn in the 11th house. Um, this I've seen in multiple charts. I mean, somebody has a Saturn in Taurus in the 11th house, so they want basically farming land for themselves. I've seen Saturn in Leo in the 11th house, and they want some kind of a they want to join an organization where they want to serve in power. And I've seen the moment they have these desires and they start running after it, and they start discussing with other people, and they start saying that, okay, I love this piece of land, or I love this organization, I want to be part of it. This Saturn backfires. It just keeps postponing things. They just keep getting cheated in whatever they are desiring to do. If you have such goals, if you have such desires, keep them to yourself. Don't broadcast it to the world. Saturn doesn't like it. And Saturn 11th house itself, I mean, 11th house is the house, is the natural Kalapurush Rashi of Kumbh, or you can say the house of Aquarius. Saturn over there can bring some kind of cheating also with respect to your desires. So be very careful. Now, uncles and cousins, which is basically third to the ninth, they need to be served, respected. Don't malign them. Don't show off in front of them. Keep a low profile. Desires, whatever they are, will be fulfilled, because 11th house is the house of ultimate fulfillment of desires. They will be fulfilled, but slowly. Don't get impatient. And many times people try to use power, or you can say bring somebody very authoritative to make things happen with respect to your desires. If you have Saturn in the 11th house, don't try to do that, because this Saturn will get offended. So if you want to accelerate your achievement of desire by bringing somebody in power to accelerate your desires to be met, it's not going to work out. Okay, and if you are in a large organization, what I've normally seen, Saturn in the 11th house, they will uh, they will become and serve such organizations, but somehow they try to avoid the spotlight, which is also good for them. Don't try to bring the sun where Saturn is sitting. Okay, let's get to the 12th house. Okay, the 12th house stands for multiple things. I mean, you are going spiritual, you are basically donating something, you are being charitable. So Saturn wants you, or you're basically going on a long journey or a tour, or you're on a honeymoon, because that's your 12th house. Or if you are having a great personal life with your wife, I mean, all these things belong to the 12th house. Uh, Saturn just says, whatever you're doing in this house, keep it low profile. Okay. So if you're going spiritual, serve the feet of the Guru, because 12th house is the feet, Pisces. So if you serve the feet of the Guru, stay humble, stay low, great remedy. Uh, Stop criticizing your expenses, or bragging about them. I mean, you are spending a few $1,000,000 in this latest cruise that you had in, what should I say, the Bahamas. I mean, great, but posting pics on social media is not going to work out very nicely. 12th house is also the house of independent decision making, which you are very free. I mean, if you're a creative person, you're sitting in your studio for long hours and you're working, that's your 12th house which you're activating. Whatever work you're doing in a creative field, 12th house is going to bring long drawn hours over there. But then you don't try to so, try to take those independent decisions in isolation, and don't tell it to the whole world what you're doing, what you're working on, what creative projects you're working on. If you're meditating, do it in isolation. You don't have to post everything on social media, and you don't have to say that I'm the greatest meditator on earth, and sense I'm an authority on it. Let people come and say that. You just do your hard work in silence. You've gone on a honeymoon to Mauritius, great. I mean, don't post your pics on social media. You get the idea what I'm trying to say. Okay. So that's some of the set of behavioral remedies which Saturn in different houses brings. Hope it helps you all. And if something like this has happened in your life, where you did something with the Saturn in a certain house, it backfired, please feel free to share that in the comments. I would also want to learn from the comments what people write. And I hope this video was something which you found useful. Let me know if you want me to make more videos like these, and I'd be sure to work on them. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.